Hey guys, so I'm sure you're all extremely curious as to why I've been posting give me a color, give me a name, give me a word, and thank you to everyone who has responded with your names and colors and words and A and B and all that stuff. So now comes the big reveal. I have been writing a story for Jake Smith's birthday, hence why I was always friends of Jake Smith. So to everybody who contributed something, thank you. Everybody who thought about contributing something, you missed your chance. But I'm sure I'll do this for someone else's birthday, so there'll be other chances later, I guess. And so, without further ado, here are, though you cannot read it because it is backwards, The Adventures of Jake the Mighty. Now that you know what it is, you can stop this video at any time, but I'm going to read through it. Look for what you contributed then. Standing alone on a windswept plain, our hero stands defiantly into the horizon, daring it, begging it to bring him some new foe to conquer, some new town to save, some adventure to have. He is Jake the Mighty, and his exploits are legendary. Let me tell you of one. One day, Jake the Mighty was riding down a road at dawn, slumped over his trusty steed Scrumptious, in a light doze when he was suddenly awakened by the cries of many people. Gathering the reins in his hands, Jake wheeled Scrumptious around and rode off towards the sound. Scrumptious carried him to the gates of a village at the foot of a mountain, where there were people lamenting outside the city walls. "What ho, good people! What seems to be the trouble?" "Alas, good sir," the headman cried, "our village is beholden to the savage beast. On this day every year he demands that 3 children, 3 women, and 3 men are to be sacrificed to his appetite, and if we do not, he will come and destroy us all." Well, this sounded like a challenge for Jake the Mighty. "Fear not, citizens, for I, Jake the Mighty, shall deliver you from this savage beast." The people wept and wailed. "Oh no, kind sir, it is not that simple. We have sent our bravest and strongest warriors to kill it, and none have come back alive." Jake was confused by the way he said alive. "So they come back dead?" The headman was only too eager to respond. "Yes! He skins them, strips them of their muscles, re-rolls their bones back into their skins, and rolls them back down the mountain." This sounded like an adventure to Jake. "Aha! This sounds like a challenging adventure! Put your faith, trust, and pixie dust in me, my friends, for I shall slay this monster. Only tell me the way." Blah, blah, blah. The townspeople saw that he was determined to go, so they called the one person who knew how to get to the monster's lair, the old crone, Jimothy McDanielson. A strange name for a woman, thought Jake the Mighty, but he was too polite to comment on other people's strange ways. "If thou wishest to find the beast, thou must make thy way to the top of the mountain, but be warned, the pathways are treacherous, and those not quick-witted enough to evade their perils therein shall die. First," she said, holding up one wrinkled, knotty finger in the air, "thou must avoid the Wailing Stones. They will call to thee, and beg thee to turn around until all ye can think is to turn and run, but this thou must not do. For if thou dost, thou shalt also be turned to stone." Arduous, thought Jake, but not impossible. Jimothy the crone went on. If thou shouldst by some means manage to escape this peril, another waits for you. Beyond the Wailing Stone lie the sinking pits. There is no way around them, and they are too wide to jump. At first they may seem solid, but after walking 3 steps, thou shalt be caught in their quick grip and sink to your death, never to see the sun again. The third obstacle is the most difficult of all. It is the forest of poisonous thorns. thorn bushes that grow tall and wild and dense, and each thorn is filled with a poison so deadly that the smallest scratch will cause instant death. This forest goes up the mountain almost all the way, but if by some miracle thou dost pass through unharmed, the road to the top is clear. At the top of the mountain lies the cave of the savage beast. As for him, I can offer you no assistance." Jake the Mighty thanked her. "But," he said, "how does the savage beast get past all this to collect your children, women and men?" A child answered him, "If you please, sir, he flies." "All right, I'll be off. Farewell, good people, and take heart, for your deliverance is at hand." The townspeople cheered him off. "We'll never see that one alive again, will we?" the headman asked the old woman. "I'll get the stonemason started on a new headstone," the crone answered. Jake and Scrumptious rode steadily up the mountain until they came, as Jimothy McDanielson had said, to the Wailing Stones. At first there was nothing. Then there were whispers. Soon he could make out the voices. "Turn back! Death lies ahead! Don't waste your life!" The voices got louder and more numerous. Scrumptious began to get nervous, but Jake was not afraid. He simply pulled out his banjo and began to play as loudly as he could. He played so loudly that he drowned out the voices, and he and Scrumptious passed safely through the Wailing Stones. The stones were so impressed and so moved by the music that they forever gave up their wailing and formed a popular rock group. Soon enough, they came to the sinking pits. Jake remembered the words of the old crone. "At first they may seem solid, but after walking but 3 steps, thou shalt be caught quick in their grip and sink to your death, never to see the sun again." So Jake got off Scrumptious, took 2 steps, then stopped. Before he took his 3rd step, Jake pulled out his super long keyboard and laid it across the rest of the pit. Then he led Scrumptious along the keyboard, and they safely passed the sinking pits. At last they came to the forest of poisonous thorns. Jake pulled out his violin and guitar, holding them one in each hand by their necks out in front of him. "Scrumptious, stay here." Scrumptious whinnied in protest. "Scrumptious, my dear friend, you have been with me through many adventures, and together we have faced many foes. But in this one battle I cannot protect you." Scrumptious snorted loudly at the thought of needing protection. "Scrumptious, if one of these thorns were to scratch you, I would lose you forever. I will be fine, my friend, but you must stay here. Please. For me." At last, Scrumptious consented and walked over to graze on a tuft of grass while his rider carefully entered the forest. Jake held the instruments, one before him and one behind him, and carefully used them to move the thorns out of his way. In this manner, slowly, he managed to make his way through the forest in safety. Once he was safely on the other side, Jake turned around and cut a small branch from the thorn bushes and carefully stored it inside his ukulele. Now came the ultimate challenge. Defeating the savage beast. Bum 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 bum. Jake crept to the top of the mountain. There a foul stench reached his nose. The horrible cry of "Maroon" reached his ears. Maroon? That was its call? Ah well, he followed the sound and the smell until he reached the mouth of a cave. Lolling inside was a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. It had bulging orange eyes, lapis fur spotted with black, and a mouth lined with 3 rows of razor-sharp teeth from which blue saliva dripped and dribbled. The beast had 6 legs, 3 on each side. Its one tail split into 9 tails, each of them with a stinger on its end. Each gray spike on its back was covered in years of dry blood, as though the beast had rolled in the bodies of those it had killed. The whole thing smelled like a rotting corpse. It sensed Jake was near and began to growl. It got to its feet and looked straight at him with a look that would send normal men to their graves. But Jake was not called Jake the Mighty for nothing, and he bravely stood his ground. The beast stalked towards him. Jake, quick as lightning, pulled out his ukulele and played for all that he was worth. He played every song he knew. He played songs he made up on the spot. He put his heart into the music. The beast was entranced by the music and began to sway. Jake played on. The beast began to dance. Jake's fingers were red and chapped, but still he played on. Finally, the beast danced itself out and fell asleep. Jake laughed out loud. So it is true. Music hath charms to soothe the savage beast. Then Jake crept up to it and smashed his ukulele over its head. The ukulele shattered, and the poison thorn that was inside fell out and scratched the beast. The monster was slain before it even knew it was dead. Jake took one of the monster's tails back with him as proof of his deeds. As he started back down the mountain, the tail gave to him the beast's power of flight, so that he soared over the forest of poisonous thorns. But see! The dark magic that had tied the beast to the area died with it, leaving the forest harmless, the sinking pit solid, and the wailing stones had rolled away. Jake the Mighty landed on the other side of the forest and joyously reunited with Scrumptious the horse, and the two of them rode back to town calling out, "Fear no more, good people, for I, Jake the Mighty, have slain the savage beast. I bring you one of its tails as proof. Rejoice, for you shall never have to sacrifice your children, women, and men ever again." The people stared in wonder, hardly daring to believe his words. They were free? They were free! A cry went up, soon followed by the rest of the village. Huzzah! Huzzah! Huzzah for Jake the Mighty! For the next week there was much feasting and dancing in the town, but Jake was too anxious to be off. The headman, however, would not let him go without being thanked, so he had a new ukulele made, with the image of the savage beast etched into the back so that Jake would ever remember this deed. The last they ever saw of him was the lone silhouette of a man on a horse, riding off into legend. The end. Happy birthday, Jake.